So good morning. Good morning. I am Alida, lecturer, Department of Law and Human Rights, University of Asia Pacific. Welcome to the virtual international conference on the impact of COVID-19 in the legal field. The conference is organized by the Department of Law and Human Rights in partnership with UNESCO Madanjit Singh South Asian Institute of Advanced Legal and Human Rights Studies. 35 participants from 8 different countries will be presenting their papers in the conference starting from today to Saturday. Our official media partner of the conference is the Daily Star. The chief guest of today's ceremony is Mr. Justice Hemant Lakshman Gokhale, former Justice of the Supreme Court of India. We are also delighted to have Mr. Noriyuki Asano, Professor, Kansai University, Japan, and Mr. Justice Moinul Islam Chaudhary, former Judge, High Court Division, Supreme Court of Bangladesh, as the special guests of this opening ceremony. We express our sincere gratitude for being here with us today. Thank you. So without further ado, I will request Mr. Muhammad Asaduzzaman, Associate Professor, Department of Law and Human Rights, University of Asia Pacific, to deliver the welcome address. Mr. Asaduzzaman, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Justice H.L. Gokhale, former Judge, Supreme Court of India. A special guest, Mr. Justice Moinul Islam Chaudhary, former Judge, High Court Division of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh. A special guest, Dr. Noriyuki Asano, Professor, Kansai University, Japan. Dr. Chaudhary Ishaq Ahmed Siddiqui, Head, Department of Law and Human Rights, University of Asia Pacific. Our Honorable Board of Trustee members, our Treasurer, and other distinguished guests, dear colleagues, beloved students, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. It is my unique privilege and honor to welcome you to our international conference on impact of COVID-19 pandemic in the legal field. This conference has been organized by the UNESCO Madanjit Singh South Asian Institute of Advanced Legal and Human Rights Studies in partnership with the Department of Law and Human Rights, University of Asia Pacific. We know that COVID-19 pandemic is an unpredictable phenomenon to the inhabitants of this planet. The all-around devastating impact of COVID-19 pandemic has transformed the way of living around the globe. Our legal field has also experienced severe deadlock because of this invisible enemy. The normal course of action of legal education, legal research, administration of justice, dispute settlement has been jeopardized with the advent of COVID-19 in our lives. In fact, this has become the question of life and death and is an issue of survival. And thus, we are still passing the most challenging time with extreme uncertainty and insecurity. Despite the upsetting consequences of COVID-19, we are also witnessing some ray of hopes in different sectors, including the legal field. The fourth industrial revolution is coming forward with unbelievable speed. The technological revolution is going to alter the way we live and work. So the greatest challenge for the legal experts and the lawmakers is to update the law in order to cope with these rapid changes. I strongly believe that the paper presenters of this conference will pave the way to improve our legal field compatible with the upcoming digital transformation of our lives. We are extremely pleased to have Mr. Justice Gokhale, Mr. Justice M.I. Chaudhary, and Professor Asano, Honorable Board of Trustee member, and other distinguished guests among us. Their auspicious presence has glorified this conference. Thank you so much, sir, for your gracious presence at the inaugural session of this conference. We hope that the participants will be immensely benefited from your stimulating speech. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to our distinguished guests, paper presenters, and participants to this conference. Once again, I warmly welcome you all to this conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, I would like to request Mr. Noriyuki Asano, Professor, Kansai University, Japan, to deliver his speech. Professor Asano.
Yes. Thank you very much for introducing me. Honorable Justice Hemant Gokhale and Honorable Justice Moinul Chaudhary and Dr. Ishwak Siddiqui and Professor Asad Zaman, and ladies and gentlemen, good morning and namaskar. I'm pleased to send brief remarks for this important conference from Japan. COVID-19 pandemic changed our life and society drastically. Thanks to development of information technology, I can attend this ceremony from Japan. However, if there were no pandemic, I can visit your country more easily. We are becoming used to wear masks. We avoid shaking hands while meeting friends. And most of the classes in Japanese universities, we have to done through internet online classes. My country, Japan, is, as you know, hyper-aging country, somehow different from South Asian countries. So one of the biggest problems relating to COVID-19 is preventing infections to elderly persons. But from economic side, economic stagnation is the biggest problem. And one might consider problems on immigrant workers to be a major topic. Like that, issues relating to COVID-19 pandemic are so diversified and complex. This conference will be an important forum for the future to share knowledge on legal matters on COVID-19, because we cannot be sure that a pandemic will never occur again. So not only to tackle the current problems, but in order to prepare for the future, I believe it will be necessary to discuss the legal issues involved in the COVID-19 pandemic. Lastly, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Siddiqui and Professor Asad Zaman, making me to participate in this precious opportunity, and wish for the success of this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Asano. Thank you very much. At this point, I would like to request Mr. Justice Moinul Islam Chaudhary, former judge, High Court Division, Supreme Court of Bangladesh, to share a few words with us.
Thank you very much. Esteemed Chief Guest, Mr. Justice H.L. Gokhale, a former judge of the Supreme Court of India, respected special guest, Mr. Noriyuki Asano, a professor of Kansai University, Japan, distinguished guests and panelists, dear participants, and ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning to you all. I deem it a privilege to address this virtual international conference on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the legal field. However, at the outset, I thank the organizers of the conference from the core of my heart for choosing such a time-befitting topic. It goes without saying that the COVID-19 pandemic is a global catastrophe. It has badly battered the social, economic, and cultural life of the people worldwide. Meanwhile, it has taken a huge toll of human lives across the world. In fact, the pandemic has rendered everything topsy-turvy. People are taken aback and nonplussed at the topsy-turvydom. Almost a year and a half have already elapsed since the first onslaught of the pandemic in China. It is yet to relent its virulence in different parts of the globe, including Bangladesh. Rather, it has recently assumed an alarming proportion in this country. Needless to say, the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic is being keenly felt in the legal arena. People's right to access to justice has been restricted for all practical purposes in this pandemic situation. Violations of the human rights of the citizens by the state actors and functionaries are hardly remedied judicially at this point of time. Because of the pandemic-induced grinding poverty and inadequate medical support, the right to life of the vast majority people of this region is at stake. Indisputably, right to education is a component of right to life. In any case, the judges are salaried people, but as the lawyers in general are not salaried people, they are naturally in straitened circumstances due to the impact of the pandemic. Anyway, the judiciary of Bangladesh has been functioning virtually under a newly enacted law on a limited scale. I lay stress on the expression on a limited scale. As the duration of the pandemic is uncertain, so the actual or normal functioning of the judiciary is also uncertain. Consequentially, nowadays, substantive hearings of cases are seldom conducted through virtual means, thus compounding the problem of backlog of cases in Bangladesh and some other jurisdictions. As you know, our people crave for quick and inexpensive justice, but their craving has largely remained unfulfilled because of the complex, complicated, and cumbersome procedural laws and backlog of cases. In any event, the fundamental rights, the fundamental rights of the citizenry as granted by Part 3 of our Constitution can't remain in a state of limbo for any reason whatsoever. In particular, some issues of grave public concern, like lack of adequate medical care for indigent COVID-19 patients and arbitrary loss of jobs of laborers in both public and private sectors have come to the fore at this juncture. Given this scenario, the role of the bar and the bench has become all the more important in protecting and enforcing the fundamental rights of the vulnerable and disadvantaged segments of the population through public interest litigations. However, law is by nature a mixed concept and has often different and complex philosophies. Yet, law is one of the deepest concerns of the civilized humanity because it offers protection against tyranny and anarchy. But in spite of the coexistence of various legal philosophies, the concept of law is more easily understood than defined. Over the years, the legal philosophers have disputed and the lawyers have debated as to the meaning and purpose of law. In my humble view, the purpose of law is the success of justice. But nevertheless, if law fails to ensure justice to the litigant people, then it becomes a dead letter. According to Edmund Burke, an Irish statesman, law and arbitrary power are in eternal conflict. This is an axiomatic proposition. Plainly speaking, there can't be any coexistence of law and arbitrary power. That is to say, one must exclude the other. The judges cannot establish the rule of law single-handed. The other concerned stakeholders and entities must play their due roles in this regard. Otherwise, the establishment of the rule of law will remain a far cry and a piece of music of the distant drum. A strong and independent judiciary is a sine qua non for flourishing of democracy. Democracy can't be institutionalized without an independent and bold judiciary. In essence, judicial independence is the lifeblood of constitutionalism in a democratic polity. In the words of the late lamented Chief Justice of Deed and Dhaka High Court, Mr. Justice Syed Mahbub Murshid, no tyranny is worse than judicial arbitrariness, and no misfortune is worse than judicial subservience. This observation of Mr. Justice Mahbub Murshid is self-explanatory, and I did not dilate upon it as such. I think the best guarantee of justice lies in the personality, efficiency, impartiality, and independence of the judge concerned. This is no doubt a rare moment in my life. This inaugural ceremony of the conference will hopefully remain embedded in my memory down the line. I wish the conference a resounding success. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Justice Moinul Islam Chaudhry. We are also delighted to have Mr. Qayyum Reza Chaudhry, member of the Board of Trustees of University of Asia Pacific with us. I would now request Mr. Qayyum Reza Chaudhry to share a few words with us. Sir.
Thank you very much for having invited me. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. We can hear you well.
Since I would like to, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to thank Justice Gokhale, Justice Moinul Islam Chaudhry, Professor Asano from Japan, Dr. Asaduzaman, Dr. Ishraq Rai for having invited me here. But on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to thank each of you for having come and come in this opening ceremony of this particular seminar that we are holding under such pandemic situation in this country. I was quite amazed to listen to Justice Moinul Islam Chaudhry, who clearly indicated as to what the situation in this particular country was. As you know, that we are a poor country. People from villages, they have to go to the high court, to the courts, the district courts and the Thana courts, where a lot of people have a lot of problems, especially the civil cases that are being held. Unfortunately, these are not being heard to. The courts are being run virtually, and all civil courts are unfortunately closed. But I have witnessed, I've gone to a court, see how they perform, and I've seen that the judges have made provision for the people to come down and the lawyers to come to the court and have this glass window. They have a glass protection, and that particular thing is being maintained. But it is good that the civil, criminal bench everywhere is open, and of course the High Court is open virtually. But we, as you know, we are in a very, very bad situation worldwide. Professor Ano said about Japan. As you know, Professor, that Japan is a very, very great friend of this country and the highest donor that we have in this country. Their projects are being hampered because of this particular COVID problem. I wouldn't like to, actually, I wasn't supposed to be speaking, but because I'm here representing the board, a member of the Board of Trustees, I would like to once again thank you for having come and blessing this particular seminar and putting light and enlightening us with all the experience that you have. And we will definitely take it from there. As Mr. Justice Moinul Islam Chaudhary so vividly explained as to what's the situation in this country, we would like blessings from Japan. We would like to listen to Justice Gokhale and hear what he has to say on these sections. I wish the seminar a success, the participants a success, and I hope we will learn a lot from this particular experience. Thank you very much for giving me the time to speak and say a few words. Thank you, and Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Qayyum Reza Chaudhary. Now, I would like to request our today's chief guest, Mr. Justice Hemant Lakshman Gokhale, former judge, Supreme Court of India, to deliver his speech. Sir?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good morning and namaskar to everybody. I hope you are hearing, you can hear me. There is no difficulty in hearing, I suppose.
We can hear you.
Yes. I thank firstly UMSAILS and University of Asia Pacific for inviting me for this inaugural session of the 3 days international conference on impact of COVID on legal field. It was an honor to hear Professor Asano, Justice Moinul Chaudhary and Justice Moinul Chaudhary and Professor Qayyum Chaudhary. I must as well thank to begin with Professor Asaduzzaman, who has been kind to me to invite again. Last year, March 2020, he had invited me for the Spring Law School, where I happened to meet the professors and the students of the Asia Pacific University and other students who had come from all over Bangladesh for that 4 days seminar. They were bright students, boys and girls, and the professors were also very keen in taking interest in their education. I have very good memories of my visit to Dhaka and Bangladesh on that occasion. In fact, I have written a few articles on my visit, and they will be published in a book form, about which I'm just mentioning. As far as this pandemic is concerned, I thought that since it is organized for the benefit of the students and professors, I should have a word with professors and principals in the University of Mumbai. I had a word with the principal of Government Law College, which is the premier law college in Mumbai, and also a professor from Symbiosis Law College, which is in Pune, where in fact I happened to meet Professor Taslima Mansoor of Dhaka University 2 years ago. Well, as far as the last academic year is concerned, that is 2019-2020, well, lectures had already been held, but the exams were held in June 2020, and therefore they were online exams. Now, in that examination, 20 marks for each paper was of 50 marks. 20 marks were for the multi-choice question and 30 for descriptive questions. Now, all students answered online. Now, obviously, this examination will have its own limitations. As far as the advocate, from amongst them who is going to become advocates, they will have to, of course, give the bar examination. But somehow the principal was of the view that this examination procedure will not be fully satisfactory. Of course, we had no alternative. As far as Symbiosis Law College is concerned, they also resorted to the similar procedure. And as far as the present academic year 2021 is concerned, which is ending now, all lectures were online, examinations were online, and now results will also be online. As far as the courts are concerned, you are aware, as Justice Chaudhary has pointed out, the legal work is going on online in Bangladesh as well as in India. For some time, there was physical hearing also, but as the chairman of the E-Committee of Indian Supreme Court, Justice Chandrachud, pointed out recently, there will be a kind of hybrid hearing, hybrid hearing for quite some time. Some proceedings could be held physically, but most of them will be held online. So now in this, one big casualty is going to be that urgent matters will be heard. Obviously, they have to be heard otherwise also, but they will be heard first. And in that procedure, the old matters will suffer. They will have to wait. And one does not know how long they will have to wait. Secondly, as far as the young lawyers are concerned, you see, getting work otherwise is also not easy for them. And now in this system, it will be much more difficult for them to get work. There are lawyers who are situated in, of course, one advantage is that one can be at any place and still participate. But as far as the technology is concerned, it is not available in many of the rural areas. Internet is not effective, and therefore they cannot connect at times. Even when one gets connected, at times there is a disconnection. So all these difficulties are there as far as hearing of the court matters are concerned. Now in a city like Mumbai, Dhaka is also a very big sprawling city. People have to come from a distance. Now traveling otherwise also is quite cumbersome. But now because of pandemic, you see the local trains, the travel by those local trains has been restricted. The staff of the court finds it difficult to attend. Only half the staff is called at times on a day, and another half on another day. This is as far as the High Court is concerned. As far as the district courts are concerned, things are more difficult. There also, you see, now we have various tribunals like industrial tribunal, cooperative tribunals, so on and so forth. Now there also all these difficulties the lawyers are facing, the judges are facing, the decision-making process also gets affected. So this is how this has been the impact of pandemic on legal education as well as on the court work. Now the new academic year will start now. Now there will be admissions again online. There will be education online. There will be examination online. Hopefully, let us hope that maybe one doesn't know, but maybe within a few months, with the advancement of knowledge, technology, medicine, let us hope that we will be out of this pandemic. One doesn't know how long it will be, but hopefully, let us hope and pray that we will be out of this as early as possible. It is then only that you see the legal education will benefit, as also the work in the court. Well, this is how I would like to place my views for your consideration. I once again thank the organizers for inviting me as chief guest for this inaugural, and I wish all the best for the 3 days conference. I may conclude by saying, Amar Sonar Bangla, Ami Tomar Bhalobashi. Well, all the best to the participants and best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. That was very nice of you. That was very nice. Thank you very much. We are almost at the end of our opening ceremony. I would request Dr. Chaudhary Ishrat Ahmed Siddiqui, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Law and Human Rights, University of Asia Pacific, to give the vote of thanks.
Honorable Mr. Justice Gokhale, Honorable Justice, Mr. Justice Moinul Islam Chaudhary, Professor Asano, Assalamu alaikum, and everyone else. Assalamu alaikum and good morning. We're extremely honored and privileged that that all these important guests have found the time to come to the opening ceremony of our international conference. This is in fact one of the only international conferences that is being organized by a university in Bangladesh in this international stature. So you're extremely proud of that. I'll just finish by saying two important things. What is the purpose of holding this international